This podcast is brought to you by Primary Arms. Primary Arms seeks to provide the best shopping experience for everything firearms. With over 13,000 products from over 400 top brands, Primary Arms carries a complete selection of rifles, handguns, firearms parts, shooting gear, apparel, and more. Every order comes with a commitment to superior service, backed by fast shipping and an expert support team. Primary Arms, serving freedom since 2008. Find out more at frn.deals/PA. Welcome to the AR-15 podcast. This show is for you if you just bought your first rifle or if you've been building them for years. There is something we can all do to take our black rifles to the next level. My name is Nick Dooley. I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Tyler Hofer.
Good try.
Or Tyler Brockle and Garth Hofer.
No, we did not get married.
That's mean.
Show.
Yeah, when you look at one and think of the other, like that's how that works.
Mm-hmm.
I just tried to combine you into one.
That's
person.
rude. Don't do that.
Fair enough. I will not do that. We also have a very special guest with us tonight. We have Alex Robinson from Robinson Armament.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Yep. Well, just real quick, I know we did some kind of fun stuff this week, or at least I did. We might have to talk more about this next week because I know that we'll have a little bit more stuff to talk about in the competition world after this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
But Tyler, did you do anything neat?
Same as you, just a different state. We competed in the Army National Guard tag match, which is the state level shooting competition. So did that over the course of the last 3 days and went pretty well. How'd yours go?
Well, my handgun shooting was actually fairly decent, and I got a wicked calf cramp during kneeling, and I'm gonna blame my rifle shooting on that, and not that I just shot like an asshole.
Yeah. No, I don't understand these people that can kneel, sit on their foot in the kneeling position, which is technically okay, right? As long as your butt isn't touching the ground, and still have the flexibility to bring your knee up into a solid shooting, I don't know, monopod, bipod, whatever you call it. It's crazy. I just can't bend that way.
Yeah, neither do I. My bones are apparently too rigid for that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I need to do more Pilates. I don't know. So, but no one wants to hear about me doing Pilates or yoga. So instead, why don't we move in tonight with Alex, since he was kind enough to join us. Now, Alex is with a company called Robinson Armament, and I know that I heard about them several years ago.
Sorry, I got interrupted there for a sec.
Oh, I was gonna say I heard about their company.
Oops, and now I can't hear you. No. Hold on a sec.
Technical difficulty.
Can you hear me?
Yep,
we can hear you. Yep, good.
Can you hear me? Oh no.
Yeah. Oh, we'll get the technical difficulties figured out here.
Man,
because
another call came through and it took my.
Anytime we have technology, there always can be probability for something.
Can you hear me now?
Wrong. Sure can.
Oh shoot! I can't hear you. This is horrible. This is absolutely horrible.
We can get it figured out, and
oh boy.
Don't worry, Alex. We can bullshit our way through about anything. So take your time. Get her straightened out.
We'll get this taken care of. We can talk a little bit about the match in the meantime, but like you were saying, having the
can you hear me?
Sure can. And having that, the people who can bend like that sometimes can be an issue. And I can't, and cramped up in my leg, and that caused an issue for me. So,
and The use of knee pads are authorized, and the military does issue them.
Boy,
However, I don't have one of the
in
fancy
trouble
like
here.
Terex or
Hello?
Cry Precisions.
Man, guys.
But I wear actually really thick 7mm knee braces underneath my uniform.
Shoot.
Not only does that support, I'm just old and my knees hurt, but that's what kind of saves me in the kneeling position until I'm able to invest in a set of good pants. What's a set of Cries going for these days? Like $1,200?
I've seen them for 400, but I would probably buy a used set off Tax Swap or something like that.
Yeah, well, the problem is I'm tall, and I never find anything over 32 regular.
Well, there are a handful of companies that make
Okay, wait a minute, maybe.
All right, can you hear us now?
Hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can hear you.
I can hear you. Oh man, maybe this is going to work now.
Bam.
Sorry about that. Frustrating as heck.
That's
Sorry,
okay.
we were just talking about some techniques for kneeling and not having the knee pain that us old broke people have.
Yep, it's knee pads are a thing, and having pants that have built-in knee pads can be wonderful.
So anyway, enough about our old people problems.
Yep. So Alex, I was saying, people may or may not have heard of the of your company and your product, the XCR. But I know I first heard about it, probably 6 or 7 years ago. I saw something about it, and I'm not so sure I didn't even handle one once at SHOT Show.
Mm-hmm.
And it was always oh yeah, I have to get to that, and because I have ADD sometimes and forget and come back to things and have to constantly be reminded of things that I thought were needed to look back at.
So, Alex, to kick us off in a nutshell, tell us about your weapon systems.
Well, what it is when I was in my early 20s, or actually mid-20s, I built a lot of M16s. I had a Class 3 license and could buy M16 lowers fairly, cheaply back then. And I bought a lot of other rifles. I had full auto M14s, FALs, belt feds, etc. And I found that the M16 really, as much as it's used, is really not that great a weapon system. It's good because so many people make it and maintain it and keep it. If it's clean, it can be maintained. But I felt there was just much better weapon system out there. And what the XCR is it's more of an AK system internally, even though it looks a lot like an AR-15. It uses AR-15 mags. It has an AR-15 mag release. But internally, it's much different. It feeds better, cycles better, extracts better, and ejects better. Can you guys hear me?
Yep. We can hear you just
okay,
fine.
Good. So go ahead. And then we wanted to have better ergonomics. That charging hand on the M16 is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It really is. And so is the bolt catch. So we position things very nicely where the idea is you can do everything with your eyes on the sights. You can load, change the mag, load, let the bullet go, everything really easy while you're looking down at the sights. Then the reliability was we wanted it super reliable. So if you look inside an XCR, your bolt system doesn't look a lot like an AK system, but it really is. And our extractor's even better than the AK extractor. It has a solid ejector like an AK. And yet you've got this sleeker system. The upper is all one piece, which means anything you hook on your M-lock rail or pick it or whatever kind of rail system you have, it's perfectly lined up with the barrel. There's just a lot of nuance, and of course the action doesn't go back into the stock, so you can have a folding stock.
Yep. So the XCR is different in one of the main ways from a lot of the other guns that have kind of driven past the AR and technology, or the standard AR or M16 in technology. And people move on to like, piston systems are always more, better because they're cleaner and operate better than the direct impingement. But you use a different piston system than a lot of other companies do because you chose to go with the long stroke piston.
Well, we actually have both. We actually have some parts to make it both ways. I like it a little bit better because you can clean it. There's fewer parts, so you can clean it easier. But the long stroke. But we can do both. We on the 308s, we've offered both for quite a while. If you go to our website, you can build it, and we can argue the merits of one versus the other, but they really work a lot the same. Let me ask you both a question. Do you believe the AK-47s are more reliable than AR-15s?
Sometimes.
Okay. That's fair enough. And when people, you mentioned the gas piston system, being more cleaner, but the AK actually has less friction. The bolt has less friction, and that also makes it really more reliable. And most people don't understand the full beauty of an AK, so to speak.
Well, the AK is I will never discount the AK design. It is a solid design. My issue has to do with like length of pull and things of that because
that's not a reliability issue. That's more ergonomics, right?
100% with ergonomics. I have seen some terrible AKs that don't run.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything if AR-15, if it's made wrong, won't run either. Or if I build our gun wrong, it won't run.
Yep.
Firearms are very picky in particular. I remember Ronnie Barrett saying something like, if it runs on black powder, it takes black magic to keep it running. And that's kind of, so there's something to that effect.
Yep, that is very true. And so it is unique. I did not realize that on your 308 platform, you could do either the, either short stroke or long stroke. Yeah,
you can. So, and we can actually build the L model up that way too. We just don't. There's just not. It's a little bit heavier system. With the short stroke, and so we didn't offer on the L.
Okay, so when I know we were talking a little bit before we came on air, and we talked about how you just said that you got into this because you were building some stuff up. But let's get into the story of how the XCR kind of came to be.
Okay.
That is your main product. And you were saying that shortly after the towers fell on September 11th.
Yes.
Some interesting things came up and you had 60 days to put forth.
Yeah. So let me explain. We had been building the M96 rifle, which is a Stoner clone. And we'd only done a semi-automatic one, never done a fully automatic one either. So I should state. And we got a call from 5th Group Special Forces, said, be at Crane Naval Surface Warfare Center in November. This is just right after, actually it was October. It had to be October because we only had 60 days to build these things. And they issued, they liked our presentation. They said they wanted a gun. At the time, we had to sign a non-disclosure. It was all top secret type thing. They wanted a gun that could shoot 7.62 by 39 or 5.45 or 5.56. NATO out of the same weapon and take it over there into Afghanistan and give them some trouble. So we won a contract and Reed Knight 112 to provide some samples. They tested them at Blackwater, and our gun really excelled. The soldiers loved it, but it had some problems. We had 60 days to design, test, and deliver, and they actually flew out and did the testing at our factory. Okay, so this was over the holidays, literally over the Christmas holidays. So it was very tough. The guns had to be delivered in January, and the Knight's gun didn't work well at all. Our gun worked well, but we had to do a different heat treating process on the part to meet the deadline, and we'd never used it before, and we had a crack in a part, and they said, "Oh, you can't." The soldiers wanted the gun, but they said you can't fix it in time. Well, the soldiers were deployed to Iraq, to Afghanistan, and they kept calling back to their command saying, "Where's the Robinson gun?" And they canceled the program. But during the what do you call it? The post. They did it. I flew back to Crane for a debrief, and I told them you really need a better rifle, than the M4 to go on. And the reason why, they'd been in places like Somalia, and they'd have guys, their guns jam up on them, and they'd shoot guys, 5 times in the chest, and the guy would be able to run off. It didn't kill him immediately. This is why the 6.8 cartridge ended up coming for a short time.
Right.
But they wanted a better weapon system that killed people with one shot, especially up close. And so Steve Holland, who was a sergeant with 5th Group, got with Jack Dills, Colonel Jack Dills. They went to SOCOM Command and sold them on the SCAR program, which was based on our idea, basically, for this rifle. It was more reliable, more durable, needed less servicing, better ergonomics, and caliber change. And this program went on back and forth for a long time. And they didn't even test our rifles. And I don't want to really get into that. I can if you want me to, but it was a pretty crooked deal, I think. That's all I can say. Unless you have, go ahead.
I was going to say, I heard something about blank firing adapters being available, and that was determining.
No, what really happened was we did forget to put the blank firing adapters in the package. That's true. But people don't know that the spec had gone between the soldiers, people in industry like us, and I call them the contract officers at SOCOM Command for a year or two or more. And just before, we couldn't finalize the gun until we knew what the spec was, right? Because that was a problem. And so the last minute after they defined the spec, they threw in an enhanced grenade launcher module, EGLM. Well, we didn't have one. We had less than 2 months to develop an enhanced grenade launcher. This wasn't just your run-of-the-mill under-barrel grenade launcher. This had, automatic ranging, and we did it. And we worked with several companies, Insight Technologies, Meprolite, and somebody else. I wish I could say their name. A camera company, Leica. And we got something. But in all the hassle, and we just barely got the guns out on time, and we had the blank firing adapters a day later I found on the table. And I overnighted them, and they wouldn't accept them. That's the true story of the thing. And there's other crooked things that happened. I went and visited a Special Forces Day 1 month or so before we had to deliver guns. Maybe it was 2 months before. So they had a Special Forces Day at Clearwater. We could go talk with the PM of the project. And I went in there. I had 15 minutes. That's all they gave you. And I said, okay, boys, why'd you add the enhanced grenade launcher thing to this program when the spec for a grenade launcher, the upper receiver in the original spec of the rifle contemplated that it had to be strong enough for a grenade launcher. So they really didn't need to merge those programs, but they would not say a word. I asked them, why'd you do this? They wouldn't say a word. It's just crooked, the whole thing. That's my opinion. Was
that basically just to get the HK, the 320 contract? Was that kind of where that stemmed from? Or?
I'm not going to, no, I don't really know. All I know, I think it was their favorite, or whoever they decided they wanted had a grenade launcher that met this criterion. So they wanted to make sure they got the contract. So they added it to it. That's my guess.
So there's an old story about how the Beretta became the service pistol in 1986. And when they did the trial for it, originally they had the SIG 226 and the Beretta 92 running head and head.
Mm-hmm.
And it came down to a purchasing official at the Pentagon. And somehow Beretta got the price specs leaked to them. So they said, oh, well, if we change it up, we can come in under this bid, because that colonel liked the way the Beretta looked more than the SIG.
Well, I have no knowledge of that or any other, things. I'm just the facts. This is what happened with the SCAR program. Then we hired some attorneys in Washington at $500 an hour, and they tried to get SOCOM to test our gun and they wouldn't do it. They said you didn't have the blank firing adapters that really it's sad because we came up with the whole program. We had I believe, a superior design, and I'm sure it's a superior design based on what's out there today. But it was a sad thing for us. So we just kind of kept on playing with it. We renamed it the XCR. It was the Robinson Armament SCAR originally, the ones that we submitted, and we just kept playing with it. And it's funny because we have this neat set of features, but very few people really understood this. They're so used to AR-15s, and you're lucky if someone knows how to use a gas adjustment system, like on a FAL. In the U.S., people think because the U.S. Army uses it, it's got to be the best. And it was easy. Yeah. I'm gonna poke the bear here a little bit, okay? So, because the U.S. uses it, it's the best. And let me finish. Then you can tear me up. But foreign countries didn't think so. So we sold most of ours outside the U.S. for many years. It was just easier. People didn't just default to AR-15. And what's really horrible is to go to SHOT Show and see 90% of the black rifles are AR-15 variant of some kind. I mean, the level of creativity is pretty poor, I would say. Anyway, that's all I have to say.
No, we're in complete agreement with you. We know that military grade means lowest bidder.
Yeah, we have an ongoing joke about anytime we hear mil spec, because there's a mil spec for everything.
Sure.
And if you look up, you can actually find the mil spec for beer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a mil spec beer. It is Coors Light.
Oh yeah, I thought it was Bud Light now. Anyways. No,
that's the Navy. No, it's the mil spec beer for the Army is Coors Light. So anyone who says that mil spec is best, Coors Light is mil spec, and
okay,
it's not what I would call the best beer. So,
well, that's interesting. I never heard that. I'm a Mormon and I don't drink, so I'm not very familiar with Coors. I might have had some early on in life and kind of gave that up. But anyway, I did. But anyway, so the purpose of the XCR was to be more dependable, more reliable, easier to shoot, better manual controls. And the people that own one of everything tend to agree with me on this. It's their we have a lot of people that own one of everything. They have SCARs, MCXs, you name it, and they say if I could just keep one gun, I'd keep my XCR.
Well,
so I see a lot of great design features in this thing, right? Like, to kind of describe it to just the listeners, right? It has kind of the look of the SCAR, but with a lot of improved features. So jump in here, Alex, and
well, it's
wrong, but
no, they're I'm going to call it the XCR next generation rifle. And what that means is it's just the AR-15 is a good platform. It's fun. You can buy parts really cheaply. But what we've got is the placement of the controls. You've got your bolt catch down on the front of the trigger guard. You've got your charging handle only on the left side. Let me explain that to you. People, hey, why don't you make it, I want a charging handle on both sides of the gun. And the problem with that is that with the charging handle, you want it away from the top rail. So during the, you notice how far away it is from the top rail. Now, guess who put the charging handle there to start with? What gun, what company? Just throw it out there.
Oh, on the left side of the receiver right there?
Yeah. Yes, he did.
The FAL?
Well, actually, no. Look at a Browning BAR. John Browning was a pretty sharp guy. And but the advantage, what our M96 we made for the SCAR program, which was called the SPRV. Sorry, it wasn't the SCAR program. It was for this other program. We had the charging handle near the top rail, like you do on a lot of these guns that have a charging handle on both sides of the receiver. The problem is you're always scraping your knuckles along the optics and stuff. So that's why we put the charging handle down low on the left side. Now, what about a left-handed shooter? Well, he can reach under and charge it with his eyes on the side, just like I would shoot an AK. The way I shoot AKs is I hold it and reach under and charge it. So you really don't need one on both sides. And if you do, it ends up usually just because of engineering, there's not a lot of great places to put it. It ends up close to the top rail, and that defeats the purpose.
Sure. Yeah, no, and I knew that was a huge. I've had a scar. I recently traded it, but I always drug my knuckle around the L cam that I had on it, and I even had an upgraded or an aftermarket little charging handle that dipped down at a 45-degree angle. And of course, yours is also non-reciprocating, correct? So you don't.
Right, and FN has a non-reciprocate. After all this time, they finally did a non-reciprocating. But again, that's I mean the scar. I don't want to badmouth the scar, except for all I've heard is they won't warranty them with suppressors, and they break glass. There's some kind of weird harmonic, which I mean, I'll say this from an engineering standpoint. Who would predict that would happen? You'd have metal clashing together, creates a weird harmonic and breaks glass. I mean, that's just not something you'd predict in a gun design typically.
Oh yeah,
but
no, it's definitely trying to predict how harmonics work can be.
Right. So other neat thing, like this is a monolithic upper receiver as well, correct?
Yes, and it's a BITCH to make. It's it's all one piece, and the rails are integral. So on your SCAR and there's a lot of these guns that are these next gen guns like the CZ Bren 2 and your what else? The not Magpul, it's Remington ACR, another copycat rifle I like to call it. But they've got the uppers that is a one piece aluminum extrusion, but they've made that the serialized part, and that's kind of stupid because the part that's going to be wrecked, most likely to get damaged in use, is going to be your rail system, your right. Top rail, the part where your action's running back and forth through. So I learned from the M96 not to make the upper the serialized part
component, right?
And it means you could buy another upper without having to go through a dealer.
Right, absolutely,
precisely. And now we kind of glossed over one thing that I find very interesting. So the controls are very similar to an AR, but I know that like you don't use the same fire control group.
Right. And the good question. I'll tell you why. In adding, we wanted to have a fairly robust piston system on top of the gun, and that's going to take up some space, right? And so, if we use the AR-15 trigger parts, that gun would be another half-inch high. The whole gun, from top to bottom, a half-inch high. And I don't think, personally, I don't think the AR trigger parts are all that great. Yeah, you can get the. Once you get into the Timony and name some others, I don't know, these things, you could get these 2-pound pulls and all that kind of stuff. But for a military style gun, you need for safety. I think you need a 2-stage trigger and with a short second stage, a short light second stage, and we're coming pretty close to that with our stock trigger. It's not as light as a Geisley or any of these. Fancy schmancy triggers, but those triggers won't hold up as well if you were to shoot thousands and thousands of rounds through them. They'll eventually wear, and you'll have some problems with them. Ours, it doesn't matter how many rounds you put on it; it's going to shoot the same.
Where did you say your bolt release was located at?
Right. It's in the front of the trigger guard.
Oh, there it is.
On the bottom.
You can basically hit that with your thumb immediately after you insert the magazine, right?
Well, yes, and see what a lot of guys do it that way. Others use your index finger. Your finger should be off the trigger anyway at this point, sure. And you can use your index finger. So it's ambidextrous. The FAL has something similar, but it's not. You can't reach it with your finger. You really can't reach it with your finger.
Yep. Huh. So to anyone who's looking at this, to see, like, if you're not looking at this, viewing it live or watching it later on YouTube or on Facebook, how the bolt catch works is machined into the lower receiver. There is the trigger guard that's machined in, that's already done, like with what most people would call the winter trigger guard already, where you can use it with gloves. but in front of that, there is like right up against the magazine well is where you would have that toggle for the bolt catch.
Yeah.
It's
And we have
almost in the place where a paddle mag release would be.
Yeah, yeah, and this is a patented system that we have on this, and it works really, really well. And people that start shooting this gun, they don't want to go back to their AR-15s. They don't, and we probably would have made more money making a AR-15 variant gun, but we wanted this to be the perfect platform, so we had to do everything from scratch. We tried to do it with AR-15. We just couldn't get everything we wanted to in this in an AR-15 platform. And then we wanted a quick change barrel system. So you asked about the top, the one-piece upper. One-piece upper is all machined out of one piece of aluminum, and the bore that holds the barrel is perfectly aligned with not only the top rail but all your M-lock rails around the rest of it, so that anything you put on there is going to be straight in line with the barrel.
Sure. So if you swap a barrel out, what MOA are you holding?
So let's say you have it zeroed, okay? And when you take it out and put it back in, it's exactly the same place. This is where we differ from any other gun with they also have a patent on our barrel system. What it does is there's a conical hole in the bottom of the barrel extension, and the screw that holds in the barrel has a conical head, and when they're tightened up, the barrel can't be twisted one way or the other. It has to be exactly the same way.
So it's actually a set screw.
It's a set screw, but it drives it. It puts, when you tighten it up, it goes the same way. You might find a quarter minute angle difference as you go. But what's neat about this is, let's say you have a 308 set up, and you decide, and you take your sight or your optic markings and you write them down, so you know what settings you're on for windage and elevation. Then let's say you put your 6.5 Creedmoor barrel in, and you have those settings written down. You can literally just dial back in and you're right there. It makes it really neat.
It is really cool.
It reminds me of a wedge lock for like heavy equipment when you mount buckets and things of that nature. It always comes back to true when you're lining everything out. So like wedge locks are commonly used in that aspect. And that would be the way I would look at it, because with the cone and like a taper lock, or that would be how it works in my mind. It'd be the easiest way to explain it.
Yeah, the barrel ends up in exactly the same place it was before you took it out.
Yep. So now we talked a little bit about adjustment, and you have the adjustment for your gas blocks sitting right out front of that handguard on most of your handguards.
Right.
You have a couple that cover it.
Mm-hmm.
And I see the ones that do have a cover on it still have like the notch cut, so you have the capability to get in there and turn that still.
Yeah, what you have is on the ones where we call it an exposed gas block, where it's the gas block's completely outside the upper. We have a hard, solid detent. You actually have to push in with the tip of a bullet while you try to turn it, okay? And then we do that so that you can't accidentally rub it, And now when we build the same gas block to go internally inside the handguard, it's just got a ball detent that actually just takes some force to turn. So you can't really accidentally do it, but if you use the tip of a bullet, you can adjust it inside the receiver.
Okay, now I'm going to move on once to the your XCR-M line, which would be your L. I'm assuming stands for light.
Yes.
And the M would be the 308 and what most people would call a short action platform.
Yeah. Yes, and before you leave the L, we have it in 5.56. It's actually 223 Wild is the actual chamber, but 5.56. 6.8 SPC, 300 blackout, 7.62 by 39, 5.45 by 39, 6.5 Grendel, that's real popular in it, and 224 Valkyrie, and I'm still dinking around with the 6mm arc. We'll probably do that. We're too busy making barrels and other calibers right now to worry about it.
So
then going on.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. What
No.
MOA are you usually seeing, or what are you guaranteeing with quality ammunition? We
don't guarantee, but our shooters find they get between 3/4 of them MOA to 1.5 MOA, and that's pretty typical. I got some guys that reload that put them all in the same hole almost, and I can't do that. But that's for both platforms pretty much. When we first built the 308, though, we had some weird problems. We were using NATO chambers, a muzzle brake that literally bent the barrel down about 3 inches with every shot, and we had something else too. Well, we're not going to tell you about it. But anyway, we had weird accuracy with those, and so we changed the design a little bit, and now they're shoot like the L's do.
How well do they work with suppressors? I mean,
they work really good. We only have one you can't really use with the suppressor very easily unless you have a flow through type like an OSS. The 9.5 inch. We got guys trying to put suppressors on 9.5 inch 308s, which is just insane. It's just bless their hearts. We make a 9.5 inch 308, which is cooler than cool, and it has, with our muzzle brake, there's almost no recoil. It's just fun as heck to shoot, but it's a fire breathing dragon, and people don't realize that you're going to be burning all that powder in that suppressor, and most manufacturers don't like that, won't warranty their suppressors. But almost any, our 12 inch, this is 308 only. The L model, we do fine with 9.5 inch barrels and suppressors, but I do like the flow through suppressors much better than any of the others. Even though there's some great brands out there, like Dead Air is a good brand, but those flow through suppressors like OSS make, I really like a lot.
Yep, the OSS are now Huxworks, whatever.
I know. Yeah, I can't bring myself to say that. I don't know why they did.
Whatever they are this week.
Yeah,
they are a very solid design.
I like the Dead Air and the Rugged. Rugged works really well too. Rugged's really good. Some of them have less back pressure than others, and so on any given weapons platform, Yankee Hill makes a real quiet suppressor, and I haven't used any of theirs for a while, but they used to have horrible back pressure. I mean, just horrible. You get a face full of smoke with every shot, and it's hard on the actions too, because you can't turn down the gas system enough to compensate for it.
Mm. Yep. So I do have one question on the M lineup you have.
Yeah.
And what magazines do you use for the 308 platform?
Just the standard SR25 mags.
Oh no, and that's a thing of beauty.
Yeah, we looked at a lot of things. I remember when the AR-10s first came out, they had those modified M14 mags. That was kind of a bad idea. FAL mags, even worse idea for a rotating bolt gun. The FAL mags were designed for a tilt bolt gun, and what happened? It was just it's a really design faux pas if you use that mag with a rotating bolt gun. And I could get into more of the engineering of that, but they potentially released the round too early before there's a lot of things with that.
Yeah,
but
I remember before I bought my first 308 AR, I actually bought an M1A because I was standing at the local gun shop talking about getting an AR-10, and I was looking at the three rifles he had on the shelf, and I go, okay, now which one of these has? They all three took a different magazine.
Yeah, the M1. The M1A is such a fantastic gun. I mean, it really is. I mean, you've got just an excellent trigger right out of the box, right? They just a two-stage excellent trigger. They are reliable. They're fairly reliable, I'd say. The only problem with them is mounting stuff to them, right? That's optics, and you saw some of those. Sage and a couple other companies made those heavy, chassis for them with the rail systems. My gosh, the things weighed a ton. our 308's got really attenuated recoil. People say, "Man, I can't believe how how low this, how little recoil we get with it." I feel like I'm shooting a 223. I don't know if I exactly agree with them there, but it's with our brake, it's pretty smooth shooting.
Yeah, well, I see that that's a big 3-port brake that you have on there on the standard, and that looks to be a rather impressive brake.
It's nothing special, really. It's just 3 slots. Our engineer did work really hard on that. I want to give him kudos for that, but it's nothing that's, there's no ground-breaking patentable technology there. It's just a good brake, and we sell them for a reasonable price. In fact, I'd rather give every customer a brake than have them using those crappy A2 flash hiders. Yes, it annoys the people on the range next to you, but so what? They could buy earplugs and earmuffs.
I got to ask about the stock. So is that proprietary?
Yes, we have several patents on it, actually. It's got 2 buttons, so it folds and it's adjustable for length and height. So it's got 2 steel buttons. It's all aluminum. By the way, we don't have any plastic structural components on this gun. So your buttstock, the only things plastic are your grip, your cheek rest, your butt pad, and so if you put rubber rails on your rails or something.
Sure.
But it's all aluminum, so it's got steel buttons, and you have to push both buttons in to slide the stock, so you can't accidentally be pushing on one and have it collapse on you while you're shooting or something. And then it's got a cheek rest that has on the Fast 2 stock, it has 2 positions. On the Fast 3, it has 3. And if that's not enough, you can actually bolt that stock on the hinge at different heights. So you've got a lot of adjustment to really tune that in for you. And the hinge is steel, and the rest of the stock's aluminum. So you're not going to have anything break like that. I think the thing that I like least about the Scar myself personally is the plastic stock. Not because it doesn't work or function, but because it's so easy to damage.
The UGG boot.
Yeah.
But no, looking at that is really awesome when you go through and the only plastic piece you have on there is the grip. And the only way to make that better would be is if you used a grip from VZ Grips, because the unique feature of VZ Grips is actually from a solid block of G10.
Hey, and that's cool. There, and we made it so it takes almost any AR grip, which is great. So they can buy the VZ grip or whatever it is, or they can get anything from Magpul, CAA, Ergo makes some great grips, I think. But you have to use our screw. We use a different screw, but you have to use our screw. But you can use pretty much any grip.
That works. And I was super excited to have you on. I know that. There's actually probably a whole nother crop of people that have been introduced or Googled your company because of a man named Jeff Kirkham.
Yes.
And his books that I'm being told are actually being made into a TV show now.
Oh, wow. I love Jeff. Jeff hasn't asked for a penny from us. I did give him a gun a long time ago, and I still see him using it. I mean, once you start using this platform, he's a big AK fan.
Yep.
And so when Jeff's a 28-year veteran. I mean, I think he served for 28 years. I could be wrong. I think that's right. Or was that? Yeah, I think that's Jeff. He served for a long time, and he's a real soldier.
Yep. No, I know that he definitely talks very lovingly about the XCR in his Black Autumn series.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
So I know that there is probably a whole crop of people who went, "What's this?" Because he went and he goes into detail and waxes quite poetic about it. So that is kind of neat to see. And
my wife even liked the book, so that's good.
Yep, Garth is back with us again as he made it home. And
I finally made it home, and so I've missed a lot of the conversation. But you said something, Alex, that really intrigued me. Just glancing over your guys' website, the gun that stood out to me the most is because I've been in the competition now for a couple of years. Is your XCRL competition. And
right.
I was just curious if you could tell me a little bit about it because, in the competition setting, guys like a little bit of a little bit of lighter gun than, a heavy gun to run and
Right.
gun and stuff. So, but I mean, just from the design alone of it, I am in love with it, and I would just like to hear a little bit about that.
Yeah, I'll tell you about that. So we were approached years ago by one of a guy that makes parts for us, and he said, "There's these two girls that I think you should give guns to." These girls were 11 and 12 at the time. Okay, 11 and 12. It's Jay Lease and Justine Williams. They shoot for Colt now, but they are incredible shooters. They run all kinds of matches, and I gave them. I was afraid to give them guns because who knows how they've been trained, right? They're 11 and 12 at the time. And I met with their mother, and it was their mother was pushing the thing, not the father. And that gave me a lot of comfort that, and I watched them handle some guns, and I said, okay, we'll do it. And we started giving guns away to competitors, and we got a lot of feedback. We didn't even though Justine and Jay Lease won a bunch of competitions, even with our gun, it didn't sell many guns, but we got a lot of feedback from them and from other shooters, competition shooters that have made the gun better. I mean, a lot of those girls shot 15,000 rounds a year out of their guns, just to give you an idea. That's more than most people ever shoot. Yeah.
That puts a gun through its paces.
They had, on the two guns I gave them, they had 60,000 rounds before they went work for Colt. 60,000 rounds. With, I think one broke op rod, one hammer spring. There was something else, but we hardly replaced. We changed barrels 2 times on those guns. Just
so
FYI.
It's been through the ringer and been tested,
proved. Here's what's fun. Well, and not by the military, not by just by real users, And the other thing that's funny is a lot of local shooters shoot these in Utah in matches. And there's this one policeman who I won't name who just would never shoot our rifle. And he kept getting beat by guys using our rifle, and he finally gave up, got one, and now he's one of the biggest purveyors of these things in Utah with law enforcement. We have a lot of Utah law enforcement using them, and we have not approached them. They've approached us.
Very cool.
Yeah. But they're very good. You guys would love to shoot one in 3-gun matches. I should let you take one and do it. I think you'd find it very interesting.
Don't threaten us with a good time.
Yeah, we would love to shoot one anyway. And like I said, I remember handling one and going looking at things and going, okay, now this is cool. When I handled it for the first time at SHOT Show, years ago, and went, all right, now we have something. And as far as I went with it.
Well, SHOT Show is so big. We've quit going. I mean, it's just too big. I mean, unless someone's already going to look for you, they're not, And if you walk by our booth, and if you're not really sharp, you think it's some kind of AR-15 maybe, because it's got an AR-15 mag hanging out of it, AR-15 grip, and so you won't even stop. And that's the thing. But we wanted to use AR grips because the grip, is a real personal thing, and I like the ones with the big back straps on them. But the grips are real pro. So we just sell them with a cheap A2 grip, and you put what you want on it.
Yeah, I like the most aggressively stippled one I can get.
Mm-hmm. And if you're trying to get sales for SHOT Show, Alex, the best thing is gun bunnies, and Dooley and Garth are both for hire. Just to let you know.
Gun bunnies, yeah. So okay.
Yes, I have been a booth babe before once.
It's funny is I came from the composites industry before this, and you should have seen the girls at the booths at these. We'd have these big machines, make different composite, this and that, and these girls would practically be naked, holding the. I don't know. That's just not my kind of advertising. I mean, everyone likes to look at it, right? But it's not really why you want them to buy your product.
No, it is awesome. It is not the type of advertising that one generally goes for. And I think your products kind of speak for themselves, because I've talked to people who've used them, and no one has anything bad to say. There's one thing, our delivery time, and
we really worked it hard for about a year. We just got some new equipment in today, actually. Hopefully, our barrels, making barrels fast enough is our big thing, because we have all these different. We have both the L and the M. There's like 3,000 different variants. If you multiply out all the different ways we can build it. So we're trying to get the more popular variants so we can deliver them in just a few weeks. That's our goal, and hopefully in a month or so we'll be there. But
so
yeah, it's
for a custom gun.
Yeah, 4 to 8 weeks for a custom gun, and I'm trying. Yeah, well, people complain though. We'd quote 3 months, and sometimes it'd be 3 months, and we had some go out a year, to be honest with you. Especially if they ordered some like a 224 Valkyrie, and by the time we got ready to make the barrel, there's just so many other orders that were easier to batch and pump out.
I one time waited 3 years for a custom rifle I'd ordered.
Jeez.
I waited 3 years for the rifle to come in, and it showed up at the gun shop, and the guy didn't realize who it was for and sold it to somebody else.
Oh no.
It was a Shiloh Sharps Quigley.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I can see why you waited 3 years for that. That's good. In today's society with the click and Amazon and next day delivery and all that, people, they just want stuff. When they have their money, they want it, and long waits are just not cool. I waited a year for a Tesla, and now that you can practically buy them off the lot. So.
Yep, that's the biggest problem with silencers right now, and selling silencers is guys want them, and they want them right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's NFA. We've got to get SBRs and silencers out of the. I mean, I love the NFA to go away completely, but it'll be really interesting to see what the courts do with this arm brace rule. I'm an attorney by training. I'm still a member of the Utah Bar. I don't practice any law, but it'll be interesting to see what the court does. But we have to tell our customers they either got to take off the arm brace and give it to a neighbor or they shouldn't be under their control, and either do that or put a longer barrel in, or the ATF's given them several ways they can get around that. But we sold a lot of guns with arm braces, and it's a difficult thing.
Oh,
Understood.
very much so, especially when you're ruling by fiat. But
yeah. Well, the Congress, people blame ATF, but the real culprit's Congress. They've given ATF via statute. They've given them authority to make these rules, and that's got to be taken away. That's got to change.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I got a detailed question. Can you tell me how much your standard XCRL would weigh with a 12-inch barrel?
I'd say about 6.5 pounds to 7 pounds, somewhere in that range. Just a little. It's a little on the heavy side. Now, this is something you should know. Well, we can even on a long barrel, we can push a bullet halfway down and fire another one through it without blowing it up. You cannot do that with any other gun I know about. You can do it with some short-barreled ARs, but if you have a standard length barrel, you'll blow the thing up.
Oh, really? Huh.
Yeah. The gun's a little heavier made. We made it so that if a round blows up halfway chambered, unless the shooter's face is right in the ejection port, he's going to be fine, and the gun's still usable. So I mean, there's it's a little heavier platform. We also our barrel extension's bigger, which adds some weight to it, but that's why we can shoot all these different calibers through it with ease.
It's a heavier barrel, having a heavier gun also soaks up a little bit more recoil. There are some very much intrinsic benefits to being a little bit heavier.
Yeah, what's funny is a lot of the 3-gun match guys that we give or sell guns to in Utah, they like the heavier barrel for the way it swings. I don't get it, but they some of them like that. You guys.
It's like running a 30-inch shotgun barrel on sporting clays. And that extra bit of weight for the balance as you swing through will definitely go through. It's for a lot of years with an AR, 18-inch was the barrel length to have for 3-gun competitors, because they wanted that rifle length gas system, and then have the ability to swing through but still be small and maneuverable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, so well, thank you so much, Alex, for coming on and talking.
You're
guys.
welcome.
Any more final questions for him here before we start to go through shutting down for the evening?
No, Alex, I just got to say, like, your rifles here, like, hit every single, like, optimized design aspect, and I really like it. From your ambidextrous, your free floating M-lock, your monolithic rails. I mean, there's a lot of really, really, really great stuff in here that you really don't see all of that in one package very often, and I think it's really, really cool. So I highly recommend people check this out. It's RobinsonArmament.com. You can build your own rifles. I mean, even your website updates all the features as you select it when you're building your rifle, which is really cool too. So I commend you, and I'm really excited about these rifles. They're cool.
So
We'll have to get one in your hands. Let you guys. The proof is in the pudding. You know, talk is cheap. It's really a fun platform to find. But once you shoot it, I have a lot of customers that have 5 to 7 guns, XCRs. You know, they buy one, and sometimes they'll buy a conversion kit to other calibers, and they'll say, "Hey, just build that into a gun for me." You know, and they end up with a whole bunch of guns. But we like that. It helps. But we tried to keep them reasonably priced. They're like a high-end AR, not as much as a SCAR or Spear or whatever. You know, it's a great. We want it to be a great value for the customer.
Yeah, and we actually haven't talked about that. Why don't you talk about your price?
Exactly. I was just going to bring that up.
Yeah, it's like a XCR is about 22, 23. It might have to bump the price up just a little bit in the future, right away here. And the other ones are about 25 to 2,900 for the M's. And the length of the handguard, we may price some of the oddball calibers a little higher too in the future. We're trying to focus on having these guns, you know, more available in the standard calibers faster for people. That'll help a little bit.
Yep. But this feature set put into that price point is astonishing.
Yeah, 100%. Bang for your buck is awesome.
Yeah, we want to keep it that way. We've tried to keep the price down, but it's hard. You know, materials and vendors are it's just insane. You know, it's just absolutely insane. But we're keeping our head, or we're trying to keep our costs down, and we're buying equipment and machining things faster and more accurately. And so we've reprogrammed our machines to run faster, and we've done tooling, and it's been hard to keep the price there, but we're doing it. It may go up a little, $50 or $100 in the near future here.
Sure.
All right. And Alex, where can they find you other than just RobinsonArmament.com? Is there anywhere else?
We are on Facebook at I think it's Robinson Arms or something, or Rob Arms. We're on Instagram, Robinson Armament. Instagram's the best place to get us. And we're on Twitter. Yeah, everyone should be going to Twitter, because I can actually sell guns there. At least I've tried to. I put for sale. They're the only social media outfit that hasn't banned me or caused me a lot of trouble by trying to offer something for sale. So Musk's doing some good work there, unless he changes his mind with this new hire for CEO. But I think we'll be able to sell guns off of there. So try us on Twitter. I think we're Robinson Armament there as well.
That is awesome. So guys, you know where to go to reach out to find them, look around. Garth, any final questions or things to look at?
No, I'm a little bummed I didn't get to sit on this whole one. Service sucks where I was at. So, but very cool about the competition gun. Very looking forward to shooting that in the future, and wouldn't mind owning that for sure.
All right. Well, thank you guys for having me.
Yep. Thanks so much for coming on. We'll get our outro here, and we'll talk to you a little bit after we get off air. But,
okay.
Yes, thanks so much for coming on, and everyone make sure to go and check out Robinson Armament. They make some awesome stuff that you guys all need to check out. So until next week, you folks out there, stay safe and stay armed. want to support the show? Subscribe and interact on social media. AR-15 Podcast on Instagram and YouTube. AR-15 Podcast on Facebook. AR-15 Podcast 2.0 at gmail.com if you just want to drop us a line. Find us online at firearmsradio.net. Click through our sponsors and support the people who support our show. Primary Arms, VZ Grips, Predator Armor, TacPack, and Patriot Patch Company.